Welcome to my review of Hellraiser 2022. So, does this new reboot successfully reimagine Clive Barker's 1987 horror classic? Well, let's find out. In Belgrade, Serbia, a lawyer procures an ancient puzzle box for her wealthy employer, Mr. Voight. 6 years later, in Massachusetts, a young man, Joey, is invited to Mr. Voight's remote mansion, which is hosting a sex party. Mr. Voight asks Joey to solve the almost completed puzzle box, which, let us just say, doesn't quite go the way Joey expects. We are introduced to Riley, a young woman struggling with addiction. On a downward spiral, she is crashing with her brother Matt and his boyfriend Colin. While hooking up with her douchebag boyfriend Trevor, she comes into possession of the mysterious puzzle box, which she discovers, to her horror, is a magical device used to summon the Cenobites, a priestly order of supernatural beings who practice sadomasochism. So let's cut right to the chase. How are these Cenobites, and more specifically, Pinhead, here simply referred to as the priest? Maybe it's just me, but this new Pinhead kind of reminded me of the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact. In contrast to earlier designs, the incision lines here are a little more pronounced, and additional cuts are made around the face, which is made to look like a mask about to peel off, which I thought was a great effect. This new Pinhead also boasts more geometrically precise punctures and piercings. The skin, cut and shaped to look like a piece of goth fetish attire, has a distinctly inorganic, artificial appearance as a result. I did like the synthetic look of the priest's body and skin, although under certain lighting it did look like a suit, which was a little distracting. Jamie Clayton is menacingly cold, indifferent, and emotionless. I honestly had a mixed reaction to Clayton's voice for the character. On the one hand, I liked the androgynous quality to the voice, and also how androgyny was a driving concept for this version of Pinhead, which is how Clive Barker described the character and the Cenobites in his original novella, The Hellbound Heart. Frank had difficulty guessing the speaker's gender with any certainty. Its clothes, some of which were sewn to and through its skin, hid its private parts, and there was nothing in the dregs of its voice, or in its willfully disfigured features, that offered the least clue. Jamie Clayton's Pinhead makes explicit the disruptive, gender-bending quality of the Cenobites, which was always a thematic undercurrent within Hellraiser, and I think is one of the strengths of the new reboot. In their very designs, they confront us with a body that is amorphous, which can be endlessly reshaped, broken down, and reconfigured in new ways. As far as criticisms, I did find Clayton's voice for Pinhead a bit too measured and flat. I thought the best Pinhead scenes were in Clayton's non-speaking parts, where she would appear dreamlike as a menacing apparition in the background. She plays the priest as a coldly transactional figure. She's all business and no pleasure, which was an interesting choice and a departure from Doug Bradley's Pinhead, who always had a disturbing, aggressive sensuality behind his cold demeanor. Bradley's Pinhead definitely got off on the sadomasochistic tortures he dispenses. However, Clayton's Pinhead seems to be going through the motions with bored indifference. It doesn't even come off as that sadistic. It's basically just a job she has to do. We do get some new and cool Cenobites. The Gasp, played by Selena Lowe, was for me the most terrifying Cenobite in the film. I like how the reboot takes established franchise mythology and peppers it with arcane occult concepts, which is in line with Clive Barker's approach to horror, which often has elements inspired by magical symbols, shapes, and motifs. For example, the puzzle box's 6 different configurations resonates with all sorts of esoteric meanings. The reboot really drew me into the story by creating the structure of the narrative around the mystery of the puzzle box and its configurations. I like this because it's where the film becomes less generic and where it actually develops the franchise mythology to explore philosophical questions around the nature of desire, the body, and God. Most of the movie takes place in random, isolated rooms, and not much time is spent building atmosphere or orienting the characters in any particular locale. I did like how the reboot builds upon the concept of the Cenobites' realm as a labyrinth. When the Cenobites are summoned, it was cool and creepy to see walls magically opening to endless dungeon-like doorways and corridors that entrap the characters. I found most of the characters pretty annoying, shallow, and unlikable. Most of the beginning and middle sections are focused on Riley not getting her shit together and inadvertently hurting others as a result. I like flawed and damaged characters, but found myself not really caring about Riley and her problems, mostly because the film doesn't really make you care. You never really know anything about these characters, like who they are, where they come from, or where they're going. I did enjoy the corrupt, power-hungry human, Mr. Voight. Maybe not the most complex character, but he was the funnest to watch. The new Hellraiser brings some cool ideas and concepts to the franchise, but it doesn't go far enough with them. It develops the mythology in interesting ways, but it feels like it's playing it safe most of the time and doing what's expected out of a Hellraiser film instead of taking any risks. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video.